Hello and welcome to Empowerment. I'm Kelly Whetstone. Thank you for joining me today. It is currently 10 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday, August 18th, 2026, and I'm very happy to talk with you today. I always am. I always am. By the time it's time to actually hit the go button and do the show, I'm jazzed because I love to share all the stuff that I share with you. It's important to me, and the more I get to talk about it, the I don't know. It's expansive for me, it's expansive to whoever can have it, and, that's always the thing about this show. What I share is my passion. I'm a teacher to the bone. That's it. I'm a teacher and a student to the bone. They're probably equal, those two parts of me and how I operate, but, um, you're always invited to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I share what has lit me up, what's been important to me. I learn something, I realize it, and then I teach it. And I don't talk about it, I don't teach it until I have it for myself, until I know it as a part of me, till it becomes knowledge for me. So, um, as I said, you're invited to take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't. But if you're going to stay and listen, which I encourage you to listen, don't struggle. Don't struggle. Just say, okay, this is what's going on. I'm not sure I can go along with that, but I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to keep my head open because it reminds me of when I was at the Institute, at Interconnection Institute, where I got my certifications in being a clairvoyant, reader, healer, teacher. They would always say, we went through years of classes and we were never able to take notes. We went from the beginning meditation to learning about our clairvoyance to psychic development, and then to the graduate class called Living with Spirit. To and those were 18 months to 2 years of classes for those. Never allowed to take notes. And somebody would always go, grab for their purse or a notebook. And whoever the instructor was the day would say, no, you're not taking notes. Your spirit will get it. And the thing is we're not always ready to have something in our consciousness or where we are right now in this moment in our evolution. And there could be a number of reasons for that. Maybe we're really interested in the topic. Maybe we're curious about a topic. But the thing is, or and maybe we just had a bad morning. Maybe something didn't go right, so we don't have our full attention. Anyway, the thing is, our spirit does get it because it just gets it. It's pure, right? So our consciousness, what we learn, stays with us. And I know just from being a student for years, from doing this for years, just at the time when I'm like missing a puzzle piece, so to speak, in what I'm looking at or what I'm trying to understand or what I'm trying to do, here comes something from who knows where, who knows where. And it's exactly the right thing. Exactly the right thing. And so today, the way the show came about today is kind of like that. I had an idea of what I wanted to talk about today and how I was going to put it together. And I needed to grab, because I have years and years and years of notes and years of notes. I've done this show since 2010, or this show actually since, yeah, 2010, I think 2011, but I've been on the radio since 2009. So I have all my notes and they're all on my computer from all of those shows. Well, I was looking for a specific show um, with Alan Watts's description of the cosmic drama so that I could just grab those notes. So I got Claude, which is, AI, Claude, and I said, I'm looking for this and I don't know where it is. And so I just did Claude co-work yesterday. I know Mark Husson is so proud of me. He never thought I would do it. I never thought I would do it. But anyway, I said, "Can you look in my files?" And I shared my file, my shows file with him, Claude. And he comes back and says, "Well, all I see are the titles for all of the notes in your shows file folder say empowerment episode number, but not a title, not what I was looking for." And he said, "Can you give me an idea of maybe the year or, a time frame that they would be?" So I did. And sure enough, here comes the two shows that referenced exactly the cosmic drama. So that was really exciting, and that was really, really helpful. So I looked at the first one, and then I looked at the second one, and the second one just hit me like a ton of brick. So I know that the first one I'll use, and what I started with yesterday, I'll use. I know there's a show, I know there's a topic in there, but when I opened the second one, it was about our unique relationship with Source. It was about our personal relationship with Source. And it just, like I said, it hit me like a ton of bricks. So I'm sharing a lot of information from that today. But again, you never know, you know, what you learn years ago, or I'll be doing something and a quote from somebody or from who knows where comes into my ear. And I'll look it up on Google and then I'll find out what it's about. But nothing is wasted. And your spirit does get everything, which is a long roundabout way to say, if you're listening, I invite you to listen, but take what resonates, leave what doesn't today. And, but just don't struggle, because somewhere down the line, it just may be something that helps you. So anyway, thanks for being with me today. I appreciate it. This show is live and streaming on YouTube, and I invite you to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is Empowerment with Kelly Whetstone. The address is at youtube.com/at Kelly W1850. So today is just a really quick, talking about new things and being open to new things. Um, I had a conversation with my son this morning, Jared, and today is his birthday. So I called to wish him a happy birthday, and we just chatted for about 20 minutes. It was really fun to catch up. They're so busy. I have three grandchildren, and school started yesterday. And he said he has never seen three kids so excited to go to school. And I thought, what a blessing. That is a wonderful thing. Enjoy that, because as the school year goes on, that may not happen all that often. But they go to a Catholic school. So my youngest granddaughter, Maisie, is in kindergarten this year, and she was very excited to be able to wear a uniform because her big sister is in third grade, and and uniforms get old really fast, especially for a kid like Maisie, call her Z, because she is a fashionista. I mean, that girl's been dressing herself since she was 2, and she has some style. I mean, she really does. So we'll see how long it takes for the uniform to become, you know, unglamorous. But he was just talking about how the kids are doing great. My grandson Bo is in first grade, and that they're all doing different activities. That Quinn, my oldest granddaughter, is a really good soccer player, but she's really interested in swimming. And they went to a Y. I can't remember exactly how it all happened, but without any training other than swimming and being a good swimmer, now she's enrolled in competitive swimming. And Jared said, he said, I watched her jump off the block to just test for this, to test to become, to be a part of this competitive swimming team. And he said, she jumped off that block. And he goes, I thought, is that my kid? She's she's just athletic. She's a great soccer player. She can do anything. She's a great basketball player. She's very tall. My son's 6'4". She's very tall and very strong. And they accepted her on the team after just one little demonstration of what she could do. So that's exciting. And Bo's going to be in karate. Bo's starting karate, which I don't know. I remember my brother was in karate when he was a kid. Jared was in karate when he was about 6 years old. I think every 6-year-old boy should at least try karate because they're just so cute, in their little white outfits. Um, and then Maisie, is going to start dance, and I know that. To me, that is a perfect combination because I think she's just flash and pizzazz. That's what she is. So all of them are experiencing new things. And Jared said, he said when we agreed that she could go be in a competitive swimming team, he said, we got to figure out how to rearrange things, because it's going to conflict with her soccer games. And so it's all, it just has in my head and in my mind, just talking about experiencing new things, and in their case, when you've got 3 kids, everything's growing, life's always in motion, right? Even for us. Um, but when you have 3 kids, you have no choice, you just jam with it. When you have 1 child, I mean, life changes. Uh, Obviously life changes, but to keep up with that and, luckily where they live, their, Kristen's parents, their grandparents, I was trying to phrase this correctly. Kristen, my daughter-in-law's parents, are there, and so, their grandma, um, Judy, will take them to different things, so they've got help in that regard, which is great because they both work full-time. So, anyway, it was just fun catching up with him and just thinking about new things and how exciting it is to experience new things. And I think that too kind of solidified the topic for today. So, right now, let's just get into that space of shifting from this beginning, whatever this was, um, the beginning of the show, into the teaching segment. Just want to let you know before I do that you can find me every day on one2listen.com for readings and healings. I'm usually available later morning Pacific time into the evening. If you don't see me or if I'm busy, just schedule a call, put in a callback request. I'm notified immediately and we'll get back to you as soon as I can. We do have reduced rates on calls and chats a few times a week, typically Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And then astrological events, new and full moons, and of course the 12th of each month that we call 12 Day, 1-2 Day actually. If you want to be notified of our specials, go to one2listen.com and sign up for 1-2 promotions. And while you're there, post what you're grateful for on the gratitude board. The advisors at one2listen.com monitor that board, and we add our intention to yours. So why not? The more you focus on being grateful, the more comes into your experience to be grateful for. That's how it works. What you vibrate at, you attract. That's law. So right now, I just want to say thanks to Serena. Sorry about that bump. I bumped my microphone. Thanks to Serena for producing the show today, and let's move into the teaching segment by listening to a piece of music called Naked. This is by Tashaya. It's from the World Groove Mix Volume 1 CD and Sequoia Records, and we'll just listen to a few minutes of it. I think it's the perfect piece of music to get us where we're going. So enjoy it, and I'll be back. Thank you for being here. You're listening to Empowerment. I'm Kelly Whetstone. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that music. It's a lovely piece of music. Um, and that is from the World Groove Mix Volume 1 on Sequoia Records. Okay, I was hearing myself. I forgot to mute myself on YouTube, so I apologize for that little blip right there. Um, okay, as I said at the beginning, what I want to talk about today is our is having having a personal and individual relationship with source. And whatever your name for source is, God, I like God. Um, the universe, the God of your heart, I love that. The Tao, Brahman, whatever it is, all it is. However that looks to you, whatever feels best to you when you say it and can really own it. I talked to a woman a little while ago that I'd never talked to before, and I don't remember what I said, but I don't know if I said source or the Father or whatever. Um, and she said, "I like that." She said, I've not come up yet with a name that I like to use for God. I have, as a lot of us have had a hard time with the word God. I did. I did for a long time. But now I love that word. I mean, it's good. It sits with me. But that's also part of this thinking about a personal and individual relationship with Source. God is individual consciousness. Source is life. Life is a wonderful name for God because that's what consciousness is. You could call it consciousness. I mean, whatever. I like Father because to me, that consciousness is pure love, pure love. So, whatever word you like, and I love the word that, tat tvam asi, thou art that. That is a wonderful name for God. And when I say that, I can just feel it. I feel it in my heart. So, you know, don't be I guess what I'm trying to say to set this up is there's no rights or wrongs. There aren't. This is an individual relationship, and each of us is a unique individual. So, so how we communicate with God, how we feel God, um, or source or the supreme being, that's another good one. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Um, it's our own. And when we understand that our communication with source is our own, then you know what? We are free to accept ourselves where we are in our evolution. That's giant, where we are. And and when we experience and accept ourselves where we are, then we can truly experience the unconditional love of God. Those are very warm and welcoming arms that are always available. And included in that is the peace that passes understanding. God is, big capital IS. And God is our consciousness. And therefore, God is available 24/7. And we can go inward and touch that consciousness for a few minutes or even a few seconds and shift our space. When you're flying around, when your head's flying around and you feel ungrounded, just to find, to me, it's just right in the middle of where my heart chakra is, like right in the middle of my breastbone, just to touch that space and feel that. That's a grounding feeling to me because that shifts me to that consciousness of God. That's where I feel spirit. That's where I feel that all that is. And just like I said, a few seconds, a few minutes of just quiet and blocking out the world and just being there, focusing your attention right where you are. That's where consciousness is. That's where God is. And, I and the Father are one. I am that. I am that I am. All that God is, I am. And that is is right here, right now, and nowhere else. Nowhere else. Consciousness is the present moment, not in the past, not in the future, not in any freaky thing that's going on outside of us. Here, right now. And we can touch it in any moment that we desire to touch it. So now I'm going to share, that's my setup, but now I'm going to share some really powerful stuff from different wise teachers that are always all basically saying the same thing, because truth is truth. But looking at this, your individual relationship with a much broader scope, than I think we know, because we know what we know. We have the teachers that we've had, or we do what we do, and to listen to other people, words of other people, explain things a little differently and give us a broader vision, just expands us. The more truth we're exposed to, the more we expand. And to start with a quote, my favorite quote by Neville Goddard: God is known by experience or not at all. So in John Randolph Price's book, Empowerment, he wrote, "Truth is infinite and absolute in the mind of God, but each individual has access only to his or her understanding of the truth as it unfolds in consciousness. Thus, there is no final wisdom teaching. Even the masters of the hierarchy say they are still evolving into the great unknown. My point? Do not limit the unfolding of your consciousness of truth by focusing exclusively on a single teaching. Do not freeze your mind by refusing to at least entertain new ideas and concepts, even if at first they're beyond your present level of understanding. As you broaden your horizons, do not be deceived into believing that you are going beyond the ideas that brought you where you are on the spiritual path. You cannot go beyond basic and traditional ancient wisdom or new thought teaching. You can only move horizontally. You can proceed laterally along the line, exploring a vast variety of teachings from Blavatsky, Bailey, Quimby, Fillmore, Holmes, Goldsmith, Fox, Yogananda, Casey, A Course in Miracles, Quartus, or any other author or organization. And this search for understanding of another's truth is vitally important in the awakening of your consciousness. But you can advance vertically only by embodying in consciousness that which is received from within you. It is only when you move into the realm of self, capital SELF, that you truly begin to climb that highest mountain. And that's John Randolph Price from his book, Empowerment. The first thing he started with, truth is infinite and absolute in the mind of God, but each individual has access only to his or her understanding of the truth as it unfolds in consciousness. And, that unfoldment, it's like it starts with something, it's like, that's interesting. Something grabs your attention. And the more you spot it, I speak English, the more time you spend with it, the more it unfolds. So it's like, that's grace that we give ourselves to just keep going back, going back, going back, going back. You can take something into meditation for a year, and you'll get something new every time you take it in there, because it's going to build on what you realized in your last meditation. Or maybe it takes a few to get a realization of it, but it won't, if my experience is, it won't let you go until you've got it. And when you've got it, you know you have it, because then you can let it go. And that's a lovely thing too. That's another part of that communication. Truth unfolds in consciousness in direct proportion to the time we spend with infinite self, developing our unique relationship with it. We can gain understanding from the teachings of others, those with whom we resonate, inspire us. They inspire us. They fire our curiosity. But we have to take it from there. We have to take it from there. Everything's moving. We are constantly evolving. That's great. It worked for a good long time. It's valuable. I'll reference it in the future, but I got to keep moving. You've got to keep moving. Realization comes from having our own experience and receiving our own information directly from infinite self. And it's so important to have an open mind. You have to have an open mind to give yourself permission to have what comes in whatever way it comes, because it may be nothing like anyone else's experience that you've heard or read about. Each of us is the individualization of source. There are no duplicates. There never has been or ever will be anyone like you, ever. So you have an individual relationship and communication with source. And that's going to come to you in whatever way you can have it. Whatever way. It's easy, but unwise to compare your experience with what you've read or heard. It's just unwise to do that. Don't. Don't. And don't think if you don't have the same kind of experience, the same kind of experience is the only way I can say it, or the same powerful information that comes through that someone else does, that you're doing something wrong. You're not. That's the whole thing. God meets you where you are in your evolution, your unique evolution. Trust that. Have faith in that. Letting go of all the rules and how it should be, and brought to mind an Alan Watts quote, letting go is the fundamental act of faith. And going in to meditation or prayer or however you do it, into the quiet, however you do it, that is an act of faith, because you're going in to experience something. But you're not forcing that. You're just going in as the observer, as the listener, the seer, the observer, and just available for what comes up. So I encourage you, experiment with methods of meditation or prayer, or use a statement of truth or scripture to get you into what Joel Goldsmith calls the atmosphere of God, or simply get quiet. Listen with your physical ears to the sounds around you, and then listen with your inner ear. Communication can come in different ways, in words, colors, pictures, feelings, or just a sense of peace, a sense of a shift in your space. So be available to anything. And most of all, don't negate anything. Don't try. Don't try to have something happen. Just be there. You don't need to try. You're not doing it. The more you practice the presence, the more you develop your language with spirit. And I think we each have a unique language. And the more you practice, the more you know when you've made contact. You know it. You never know what might happen or what you might be given. And it's a very good idea to keep it to yourself, because many times it's just the tip of the iceberg. So to speak, to talk about it, you're diluting something that's not formed yet, is the only way I can say it. Something shows up and it's like, okay, then, and that's what I mean by like, you get something and you go, okay. And then the next time you go into meditation, that's where you start, is what you got the last time. And then it grows and it builds. And then at some point, you've got it. You've got it and you can move on to something else. So it expands for you, but again, keep it to yourself. It's like when you want to demonstrate something or manifest something, don't tell a soul about it. It's between you and God. You're nurturing this intention, this desire, and it's sacred. It's sacred. What you get in your meditation, your communication with source is sacred, and honor it. Honor it. That's really important because that just builds more and more trust and faith and, how can I say it? It's like you're visiting with someone that you love. You're in there, you're in the vibration, in the experience of someone that you love. And you know how that is in real life. That's just pure comfort, pure permission, and pure unconditional love. So, but the more you allow your head to expand, the more your experience will expand, I guess is a good way to say it. And I remember, and not putting any boxes around it, not putting any walls around it, just being there, seeing what happens. And it reminds me of when I was at inter at a, when I was a student at Interconnection Institute, and we went upward through the crown chakra, into the chakras above. And I don't remember much about this. I don't remember the exact sequence because it's not something I used, like going into higher chakras above the body. Um, but that's what we did. And I'm sure this was in the graduate part of the program. But what we were doing is we were moving through, I think there were three that go above the seven, three or five, I'm not sure. Um, but anyway, m- the highest up one, I think I remember, is the one where we were going to have an experience of the Supreme Being. Like I said, I don't remember much of the path, but I remember distinctly my experience of the Supreme Being, the God of my heart. He was a big and joyful being, and he was dressed like a harlequin in this big black and white checkered satin suit. He was delightful. It was just pure delight. And all I felt was absolute love and playfulness. Playfulness. I felt like a little girl. And so he put me on his lap and he held me really tight and he kissed me on the forehead. And I will never, ever forget that because it established the Supreme Being, the God of my heart, as my loving Father. And that's been my experience ever since. Father is Father. And that was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I can still feel it. I can still see the classroom when we did it. Um, and I'll never forget that experience. But the thing that triggered my memory of it was something that Alan Watts said in an audiobook called Four Ways to Center. He said, "You are the supreme self playing it isn't." And I love the idea of God, Brahman, Source playing at being each of us, right? Back to, the cosmic drama. God gets lost in man, the Hindu idea of God in man. God gets lost in man. God's dreaming. This is a dream. And we are players in this dream. We're not our bodies, our mind, our emotions. Those are our vehicles. Our I, that which sits in the center of your head, behind your eyes, that sees through your eyes. Consciousness is playing at being us and it's experiencing life as us in the material. So the Supreme Being showing up for me dressed in a clown suit was a demonstration of absolute love for me, but also a great sense of humor and playfulness. We were taught at the Institute that spirit speaks through imagination and play. And Neville, to quote Neville again, Neville said, "God in man is man's imagination." And of course that's so. That has to be true because and I look over and just to the right of my desk is my wonderful poster of Einstein with the quote, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." And it is, because imagination is creativity. It's we can imagine things that have not been. Knowledge is what we know. It's the known. It's done its thing. We can use knowledge to imagine and create things, but imagination sets us free. I mean, we can receive stuff that contributes to our evolution through our imagination if we just, again, let go and follow. So we were taught at the institute that when we were doing our clairvoyant work, it was important to be in an attitude of childlikeness. Just to be open, like a kid, waiting to see what was going to happen, not thinking ahead of what might happen and how we might, you know, what it might look like, because we didn't know. We didn't know. We're using our sixth chakra, our clairvoyance. So, you know, in that attitude of childlikeness, it's like when you were in kindergarten and drew purple trees and green dogs and had no limits to our creativity and imagination. And that is the supreme being. That is consciousness, no limits. That's also where surrender takes us. Surrender takes us to the place of no limits and to the loving arms of the Father. It's, I have a card, a greeting card that I bought years ago, sitting in my office, and I always think of it when I think of this. It reminds me of that card. It's sitting on my bookshelf right now. On the front is a copy of an old photograph, a very old photograph, probably turn of the 20th century, maybe. Um, and it's a picture of a street sweeper, and there's no one else on the street. And it must be really, really early morning. But he's out there doing his job, and it's real foggy. It's very, very foggy. It's very ethereal feeling to it. Um, but he's just working out there by himself in that fog. And it's a very moving image to me. And on the inside of the card is a quote by Walt Whitman that says, "From this hour, I ordain myself loosed of limits and imaginary lines." And that's a very powerful statement, because when we're free of limits and restrictions, we're in uncharted waters, and we have to trust the Supreme Self. If we go in and say, "I'm here, I don't know," three magic words, "I don't know what this is like today. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to experience. I don't know. But that which lives me does, because that which lives me is the experience in meditation." So we have to trust that Supreme Self. But if we persist, it becomes the place that we just can't stay away from. Really and truly, it's home. It's home. Going into that quiet space is home. It's safe. Isaiah 30:15, in returning and rest is my salvation. In quietness and confidence is my strength. Now, I want to share more from John Randolph Price. He wrote, this too is from his book Empowerment. "In the omnipresent supreme mind we call God, and which is individualized as our divine consciousness, are the archetypes of everything that exists in the phenomenal world." Archetype means the original pattern from which all other things of the same kind are made. This gives us a starting point for changing energy into all manner of forms and experiences. Gradually, over the years, I began to understand the archetype principle, that in my divine consciousness, there is only one employer, one home, one car, one supply, one healing, healer, health, one book, one relationship, one organization, etc. Let's phrase it this way. The original patterns, the only one of anything, are in the form of pure thought energy, impressed in the mind of the God self within, and they work through your recognition and acknowledgement. As the energy of a particular pattern radiates through consciousness, consciousness will translate it into form and experience in direct accordance with what you can accept on the physical plane. The fewer inhibitions in consciousness, the greater and grander the manifestations. Whatever we desire, we already have, or we could not have desired it. Neville put it this way: man's eternal journey is for one purpose, to reveal the Father. He comes to make visible his Father, and his Father is made visible in all the lovely things of this world. All the things that are lovely, that are of good report, ride these things and have no time for the unlovely in this world, regardless of what it is. That which you seek is already housed within you. Were it not now within you, eternity could not evolve it. No time stretch would be long enough to evolve what is not potentially involved in you. You simply let it into being by assuming that it's already visible in your world and remaining faithful to your assumption. It will harden into fact. Your Father has unnumbered ways of revealing your assumption. Fix this in your mind and always remember: an assumption, though false at the moment, if sustained, will harden into fact. You and your Father are one, and your Father is everything that was, is, and will be. Therefore, that which you seek, you already are. It can never be so far off as even to be near, for nearness implies separation. What you now desire, you already have, and you seek it only because you've already found it. You found it in the form of desire. It is just as real in the form of desire as it's going to be in your bodily organs. You're already that which you seek, and you have no one to change but self in order to express it. And that was Neville Goddard, from a wonderful book called 5 Lessons. The opening paragraph of that statement is very, very important. Man's eternal journey is for one purpose: to reveal the Father. He comes to make visible his Father, and his Father is made visible in all the lovely things of this world. All the things that are lovely, that are of good report. Ride these things and have no time for the unlovely in this world, regardless of what it is. That's actually Philippians 4:8. But Abraham said, anything you do to overcome or prevent causes a spotlight on the very thing you're wanting to overcome and prevent. You cannot take enough action to compensate for the energy that you're flowing. That's a big deal. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want, in a nutshell. And this is, I'm going to end with this, and I may end a couple minutes early, but I found this from a Joel Goldsmith audio, and I'm not sure which one it is. And it's not verbatim. It was just from notes that I took from one of his tapes. He said, whether you're experiencing something negative or you're trying to help someone else through prayer or healing, do not give your attention to what appears to be wrong. Do not take it into your consciousness. Instead, get quiet, get centered, and ask a very simple question. In this situation, what is God? If you sit with that, you'll get answers. God is peace, strength, health, love, abundance, vitality, certainty, clarity, wisdom, ease, harmony, etc. There is a word or feeling for what God is that is the opposite of any negative experience, and it is within you. That which I seek, I already am. When you get that word or feeling of what God is, focus completely on it. Allow it to take over your feelings. Let it expand. More words may come. If you're praying for someone else, you still do this for yourself. You experience it for them. We are all one. And when you have that word or feeling, you are having it for them. And you sit in that wonderful space until you feel the shift, and then it is done. And it may take more than one time, but when you feel the shift, it is done. And that's Joel. So through that experience of going into meditation and acknowledging what God is in the situation, not what is not good about the situation. You have allowed source to flow through you to affect change. And when you feel the shift, things have changed, regardless of how they still appear. Regardless, you know it is done because you've experienced the shift. As within, so without. The without has to follow. That shift is the peace that passes understanding, the spiritual substance that demonstrates as supply. And supply is what is needed when it's needed, whatever that may be. That is supply. Supply is spiritual. Supply is your divine consciousness. Supply what is needed as is needed. So, praying like that, going in and focusing on what God is in whatever the circumstance is. This is also a demonstration of surrender or an experience of surrender, because we don't know what perfection is. We know that something's going on that is not what another person wants or what maybe what we don't want, but we don't know what perfection is. We don't know what another person needs or even what we need, but the infinite mind of God does. And when you go in and you meditate or pray or get into that space and just focus on what God is in that situation and feel the feeling of that, or have it just run through your head, or even pictures of it, however it shows up for you, you are the vehicle for healing for yourself or for another person. As John Randolph Price said, the archetypes of perfection are in the divine mind. And the fewer inhibitions we have in consciousness, the greater and grander the manifestations. So as we surrender our limitation, we allow the divine mind free rein, and wonderful things happen. The thing that is so, I don't know, maybe overwhelming to me in all of that is that we are so loved, so accepted, and so limitless. And all we have to do is rest in that. In returning to that safe and sacred space and resting there is our salvation. And quietness and confidence is our strength. You've been listening to Empowerment. I'm Kelly Whetstone. Have a very blessed week.